Before we do that though, let's go and save again. This is now number 5. Alright, so one thing we could do here is we could set a mask so whatever we do with the background is not going to affect the globe. Really easily done, I think. I'm still running something here, hold on a second. Let me restart. I don't think I finished saving. There it is. Alright, okay. Alright, so let's see. Yeah, it's probably better to stop the animation playback while you're saving so that one doesn't affect the other in the speed. Alright, so let's just double check and make sure we have that. Actually, no, we'll just trust it. What we'll do now is we'll go and select the earth or the background rather. So let's use the magic wand and select right here, and the earth is not selected. Up here's my playback verification for my capture. Let's close that. Alright, so we have a selection here of the background, and we're coming close to the earth. We might want to cut in a little bit more. That's one of the things you can do here with Grow Alpha. You can have it go expand further, and so that will cut into the globe. Or maybe you can make it a little bit fuzzy, like soft edge. That would be the Blur Alpha, Gaussian Blur Alpha, or Box Filter Alpha. We can show the alpha, and that's way too much. We don't need that much. Notice, by the way, the edges. That's going to be a little bit of an issue. Maybe the alpha on the. Let's see how this one behaves with the Gaussian Blur Alpha. Let's go with something like this. Size, okay, that. Let's go and store the alpha to have a look at it. Well, that's probably good. Doesn't matter if you have a little bit of fuzziness on the alpha here along the edges. We're not going to put bright colors there. If we see any stars, they're going to be slightly dimmer. That's fine too. Alright, so let's go and put some stars here. Now, how do we put stars there? Well, there are some filters that could do that. We could possibly go and render something like the sky. That doesn't have stars, but there's a couple of other ways, animated tools. Now, some of them, like Starry Night, some of them may or may not use and respect the alpha channel. So if you find one, let's see another way to do it. And one way that I like for nebulas and background, galactic haze and that sort of things, what I like to do is do a render of this thing here. Where is it? Oh, the plasma noise. And we see that the plasma noise only renders into where the alpha selection allows it. And so we can make it small, we can make it bigger, we can make it colorful with HSV. We can later then go back to turning it into a grayscale, right? Maybe exposing it through a lens. And you see that it does actually appear to affect also the color there. So maybe that's something we need to do through the filter so that it doesn't affect the whole image. But whatever it is, it might be a good idea to actually switch temporarily to a different buffer, as if like a different layer. What we want to do, therefore, is, let me go undo that. We keep the selection mask, but I'm going to switch to, I'm going to store that selection mask, store the alpha, there it is, and I'm going to put it aside for the time being. And what I'd really like to do is focus on the background sky without the globe in the front here. So I'm going to Control D to select, or or rather here go to clear the alpha, and I'm going to switch to an alternate buffer. Okay, and that's of course a jump to the swap buffer right there, lowercase j. Right, so we still have that little concoction here, and I'm going to change that. I'm going to make it all black. In fact, it doesn't matter if it's black or white or so, because the first thing I'll do is I'll render my filter to the plasma noise right there, right, and that one probably looks pretty cool. And then at that point I can go to the image, which is grayscale, expose through lens. Always gives you some really interesting areas. You see some of them here. Look at that. And then we can also add some contrast. No, we don't want to apply that to the whole animation, just to this image. So cancel that. And then we can go to the filter and adjust the saturation of value. Right, that's a good one too. Make it a little bit darker, increase the contrast. There you go. Now we could also see, okay, so that's a candidate for the background sky. Let's go and store that image temporarily here. Now another candidate I want to play with is that starry sky. So let's go to the animated starry sky. And with that one, we're going to render stars. No atmosphere. Well, we could see what happens with that. Let's do a quick render to see. Yeah, those are big stars. Let's make them a little bit smaller. Star size down, render. Better, but we need more. So let's do the star count, press and hold until we get it into a couple of hundreds, and we need them smaller yet. And we need the softness a little bit reduced. There you go. And we can actually even make them smaller than that, even beyond 0 down to -2. That's really small. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is have these without the blue, without the atmosphere. Right, there you go. So these are going to be, and there's going to be more of those really tiny stars, lots of them, maybe 2,000-3,000 or so. Alright, so that's what we need, but then we also need a couple few bright ones. So let's store this image, and that's the massive amounts of small stars, and then we're going to increase and decrease the number of stars. Maybe we're going to go here and say there's just 333 of those. What a funny number. There you go, but they are bigger, right? Render that, there you go. So we're going to store that, store this image. And we could actually do these in different layers rather than having them separately stored into maps there or in buffers. So I'm going to do one more, a little bit bigger than that, and here there's just going to be 22 of those big ones. Right, a little bit fuzziness or softness to that. There you go, that's a good one. Now I want to add these stars and these stars and this background. I want to add that, combine them all into this image. How do we do that? Alright, so first of all I want to store this one also safely, so let's go store image. There you go. Alright, so my starting point is this, just click here. That will replace everything with what was stored here. But now I don't want to click here or here, because if I do that it replaces the background. I want to keep this background. What I can do is click on the functions and then do something like combine. Right, now how do you combine it? Additive. What's black in the background is going to keep this image the way it is, because if you add black to it, nothing is changing to it, right? It's not replacing it with black or multiplying it, it's adding it. But what is already white will stay white, will go to that, will reach the highest brightness possible. And if it's any other than black here on that source, it will turn it white and stay there too. So we can do an add, and we have the bright stars there now. We can do this one here too, combine, add, and we got a few more of those stars. And those medium ones, combine, add. There you go. So now we have a nice mix of many different stars. We don't need these anymore. We have a nice mix of stars, we have a nice mix of some nebula, and all that we need as the background. Let's store this one here. And remember, you might want to save that, at least copy that to the clipboard as well, because if the program were to crash or you have a power outage, end of battery, whatnot, this is not saved on hard drive. This is in RAM right now, in memory. Anyway, we got the alpha channel. Let's go and restore that. And also, let's jump to the main buffer, right, where we still have these other frames of the globe. So jump J, lowercase j, we got this. And if we were to combine these together, we would see that they multiply each other. That's not what we want. You could actually change the layer mode, the merging mode, to an additive. Right, and that could possibly be interesting, but then we have some of these stars and the nebula in front because it's adding it without the selection mask. So we need to have that selection mask here, and let's replace the selection mask. And let's see, we probably need, yep, that's the one on the outside. We don't need this blending here, and we can now go and blend the two together. There's a couple of ways. We can do the filter right there, and that would be combined with swap. Again, we can do a mix the two buffers or additive or you know, whichever way. There it is. That would be one way to do it. And if we want that not just for this one frame but for the entire frame sequence, let's go and undo that and redo that, but this time not through this filter where we would have to do it manually one by one. Instead, we'll do that through the right here, the timeline. Right, so what was it? It was a combine with swap. All the way down here, we got combine with swap, and we'll say additive. Right, and we see in the preview we're getting the globe to stay untouched, unchanged, but we do have the background now. Alright, so do we want that over every single frame? We sure do. So let's go and apply that. Now if we do something wrong here, it might be nice to save the undos, to have one level of undo for the animation, just to be safe. This of course is saving it to hard drive, so you need some space and you need some speed on the hard drive. It will slow you down a little bit, but it's insignificant slowdown if you consider how much it's great when you can do an undo, which I don't need in this time because I did this right. So let's go and close this, clear the alpha, clear the selection, and see what we got. Slow animation of the globe and the background stars, so beautiful. Alright, so let's see what else we need. We might want to have perhaps some nice glowing star supernova in the background there. Right. So let's say we have that's something of course for the timeline, because we do have the supernovas here. I mean, we have the nova, the lens flare effects and so on, but that's for, again, for the single frame, single image. Like if you take this one, we can go and place it right there, but that's only on this one image. The other frames are not affected. Right. So we need this over the entire frame sequence, and we do that, of course. Let's go undo. That's U for undo, and then we'll go to the animation, excuse me, to the timeline. Yeah, that would be the same thing here. Animation, timeline, and you know what? Before we do that, let's go save this. It's been a while since we saved. Let's go and save. That's number 6. And then the next module will go at that beautiful lens flare or animated lights in the background.